All right, today we're going to talk about something that's, well, it's completely changing the game for maps. We're not just talking about static images on a screen anymore. We're talking about making them intelligent. This is all about GeoAI, this incredible fusion of artificial intelligence and geography. And trust me, it's not just about what you see on a map. It's about what a map can help us understand about our entire world.
For pretty much all of history, maps have been our guides, right? These show us where we are, how to get from A to B. They're basically a record of what's already there. But what if they could do more? I mean, way more. What if maps could actually see the world, understand all its super complex patterns, and maybe even help us predict what's coming next? That's the massive shift we're diving into.
So to get our heads around that question, we really need to understand what happens when a map basically gets a brain. So in this first part, we're going to break down what GeoAI actually is. We'll get into how it's giving our maps these incredible new powers of perception, of reasoning, and some really deep analysis. Okay, so at its core, GeoAI is really just the marriage of AI with what we call Geographic Information Systems, or GIS. And here's a great way to think about it. For years, GIS has been like the skeleton of our maps, It provides all the structure, all the data. But GeoAI, well, that's what adds the nervous system to process everything, the eyes to see and make sense of all this crazy imagery, and then the brain to analyze it all and pull out these hidden patterns that, honestly, we'd never be able to see on our own.
And it's really important to get this. GeoAI isn't just one thing you can, buy off a shelf. It's a whole ecosystem of different tools and models that are built right into the fabric of ArcGIS. So, for example, you could use a computer vision model to find every single building in a city, then use a language model to pull info from property records, and then use a machine learning model to predict future property values. It's all working together totally seamlessly, all in one place.
So what's actually in this ecosystem? Let's pop the hood and take a look at the GeoAI toolkit. We're going to break down its core capabilities and really figure out what can this new generation of mapping tech actually do. It really boils down to 6 fundamental things. First, it can see. This is all about computer vision, analyzing satellite photos to spot everything from single trees to massive solar farms. Second, it can read. This is huge. It can pull key info out of messy, unstructured text, like finding all the addresses in thousands of property deeds. Third, it can learn. This is where machine learning comes in, finding those deep, hidden patterns in something like crime data to predict where hotspots might pop up. Fourth, it can create. We're talking generative AI here, building brand new data, like creating these super realistic 3D models of entire cities. Fifth, it can analyze. This is where it goes beyond just finding patterns to doing really deep spatial analysis, like modeling how a wildfire is going to spread. And finally, and this one is just a total game changer, it can chat. You can literally just ask your map in plain English, hey, where are the most vulnerable populations in the path of this hurricane? And it'll tell you.
So you're probably wondering, what's the engine driving all of this magic? Well, the answer is something called pre-trained models. These are these incredibly sophisticated AI models. A lot of them are built using something called a transformer architecture, which, by the way, is a super powerful design, pretty similar to what's behind things like ChatGPT. It's just amazing at finding context and patterns. The best part? They come ready to go, right out of the box. It's like having a pre-built engine you can just drop into your project and hit the gas.
And just look at this list. This shows you the incredible power and just the sheer variety of what's available right now. We're talking about models that can automatically find every single building footprint in an entire state, or count individual solar panels from a satellite image, or map wildfire burn scars almost as they're happening. I mean, think about it. These are jobs that used to take teams of experts months, sometimes years to do. And now, with these models, you can get the answers in a tiny fraction of the time. It's just mind-blowing. Okay, so let's zoom in a little bit on what's probably the most visual piece of GeoAI, its vision. This next part is all about teaching maps how to actually see, and how we go from just raw pictures from satellites and drones to insights we can actually act on. The progress in this space has just been astounding, really. Just a few years ago, if you wanted to find, say, ships in a satellite image, you needed an AI model trained only to find ships. It couldn't find cars, it couldn't find planes, just ships. But now, we're moving into these generalized models. They're often called foundation models. And with these, you can give one single super powerful model an image and just ask it, find the ships, and it will. This is a huge shift. It's making AI so much more accessible to everybody, not just the hardcore data scientists.
And that right there is the crucial point. It's an absolute game changer. The barrier to entry is just plummeting.
You don't have to be a data scientist anymore, meticulously fine-tuning a model for one specific job. Instead, you can approach your map more like a coworker. You can just ask it in plain English what it sees. And that throws the doors wide open for so many more people to use this incredible technology.
But look, GeoAI isn't just about pretty pictures. Its intelligence goes way beyond what it can see. Its analytical brain can chew through all sorts of different information. So let's broaden our focus a bit and see how GeoAI deals with numbers, with text, and with that super critical dimension of time.
Yeah, this toolkit is just incredibly versatile. So for tabular data, your classic spreadsheets, it uses this awesome feature called AutoML. It basically tests a whole bunch of different models for you automatically and figures out which one is the absolute best for your data, whether you're looking for patterns or trying to make predictions. Then for data that changes over time, like weather history or economic trends, it uses those powerful transformer models we talked about to forecast what might happen next. And for text, oh man, it can read through thousands of reports, sort them by topic, and pull out key info like names, locations, and dates, and then boom, put them right on a map. It's all about finding that geographic signal, no matter what kind of data you're looking at.
Okay, this tech is absolutely fascinating, right? But what does it actually mean in the real world? This is where the rubber meets the road. So for this last section, we're going to look at exactly how these tools are going from just raw data to real-world decisions that help organizations tackle some of their toughest, most complex challenges.
And we're going to start with this really powerful idea from Gabriel Ortiz. He's the chief of cartography over in Cantabria, Spain. So his perspective is, a pretty big deal. For him, GeoAI isn't just a tool to make better maps. No, he sees it as a way to literally discover brand new information about our world and then share that knowledge with everyone. So, to really grasp the scale of what his team pulled off, let's start with just one number: 24 million. Just let that sink in for a second. 24 million, what? That is how many individual building and infrastructure outlines their team automatically extracted from aerial imagery. That's a job that would have taken an army of cartographers years, maybe even decades to do by hand. But it was all automated with GeoAI. And because of that, they were able to create these insanely detailed, up-to-the-minute land cover maps for their entire region. It's an achievement that was, frankly, pretty much unimaginable before this.
All right, so let's switch gears now from infrastructure to the natural world. Over in Africa, researchers at the University of California, Irvine are using GeoAI for something incredible. They're not just mapping what's there right now, they're trying to model the future of these absolutely vital ecosystems.
So their big question was, what's the impact of climate change going to be on birding, which is a huge part of both the economy and the ecosystem there? So using AutoML, they just fed the system a ton of different data. We're talking everything from climate projections to socioeconomic data, the whole works. And what came out the other side? A super detailed map showing the best potential spots for birding in the future, based on different climate scenarios.
I mean, this is just such a powerful example of GeoAI in action. It's not just some academic exercise. A predictive map like this is an absolutely essential tool for conservationists and policymakers on the ground. It lets them literally see the potential impacts of climate change and then make smarter, much more targeted decisions about how to protect these vulnerable ecosystems.
So when you step back and look at the big picture, the takeaway is pretty clear. GeoAI is being used to tackle almost every major challenge you can think of. We're talking about responding to natural disasters, planning smarter cities, all the way to things like national security and making sure things are more equitable. It's helping us manage our infrastructure, protect nature, and build a world that's more resilient to climate change. And honestly, we're just scratching the surface.
And that brings us right back to where we started, doesn't it? We're stepping into this new era where our maps aren't just passive pictures anymore. They're active partners in discovery. They can see, they can read, they can learn, and they can analyze. So I'll leave you with this one final thought to chew on. Now that our maps can actually think, what's the very first, most important question you would ask them? I really hope you'll think about that and go explore what's possible with this incredible tech.